Welcome to the Ralph Rant. I am your host, the Ralph. Thank you ever so much for being here on this postgame edition. This afternoon, the Buffalo Bills defeating soundly and roundly the Carolina Panthers by a final score of 40-10, or 9, I believe. The Panthers getting the late score, of course, and attempting the two-point conversion, I believe, and not getting it. So the Bills have a dominant clown the opponent style game, like one we haven't seen for quite some time. You're all here on a Sunday. I'm going to drink to that one, as you should. Here's to the Bills. And just the overall comments, a few general ones to start. Certainly the Bills demonstrate what they've demonstrated throughout the Sean McDermott era, coming out of the bye, starting off the game a bit sluggish, a bit slow. Frankly, Josh Allen looked like he was the front runner, poster child, if you will, for that slow and sluggish start today. James Cook, of course, on the other hand, phenomenal. 216 yards, I believe, a couple of scores, a couple of one very long touchdown run from about 55 or something like that. And then, of course, the other from about 21 yards, average per carry, huge. James Cook is a monster. Somebody listened to either me or whomever it may have been and decided that James Cook needs to be the one with his hands on the ball. We did not see a single cute play today. And certainly, how about the fact that Khalil Shakir and what he looks like? I'm going to get your comments up here going. They're already starting. And certainly Khalil Shakir, awesome, offering Josh some layups today. But not only that, he still remains, and of course he looks a lot better from the ankle he had earlier in the season, just at eluding tackles. And that move he put on the cut on the long touchdown pass on the Carolina defender was great. But certainly we also have to talk about the defense today, which was phenomenal. The addition of Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, and especially, to my mind, Hoyt. And, of course, we'll get to the fact that Max Hairston was out there, and what a tackle Max had on that short out over to the left side of the offense. And he came up and stuck his grill in there. That was an aggressive-looking tackle. Looked great. They got him some time out there, and thank goodness, because we need to make sure that he makes Xavier Worthy unworthy next week. So he had to get some minutes this week going. But mostly on the defense, including, the other great things that happen, I'm going to use the term the Hoyt effect. And the Hoyt effect sounds like some astronomical phenomena that happens that physics at Stanford have studied and determined what's going on. The Hoyt effect. Michael Hoyt is a beast. And if this was any indication today, this is going to be a great thing. And of course, in our minds, we're thinking, well, this was the Carolina Panthers. Hey, this was the 4-3 Carolina Panthers. This was the Carolina Panthers who had done a great job running the ball, and Buffalo largely stymied that today. But the aggressiveness that we saw on the part of the Bills defense, just something like we really haven't seen. And this team obviously got its spirit back and so forth. Perhaps they watched some of my 3 past videos where I've just been stomping on the coaching staff. And, of course, we still have our 2 coordinators remaining in the booth as we saw them pictured today. That's the only place in the NFL where that happens. But we saw a lot of spirit from the team. I think the only thing that really gave me pause about the game, other than a couple of dumb penalties, and I'll just run through my notes here in a moment, was that Josh Allen just didn't look like himself early in the game. Of course, he had the announcer's jinx on the scramble sack that occurred, of course, right after the announcer called it out. But game started out great. There was a lot of Bills fans down there also. In fact, we had very good friends that were at the game, a number of them, and I understand and believe from what I heard that the crowd was a large percentage of, a considerable percentage anyway, of Buffalo Bills fans. You could hear it out there. So the Bills won the toss. They kick off to the Panthers. Ed has a sack early. I've got Hoyt effect written in that very first note, and they had a 3 and out. Bills drive coming back, cooking. No long completions. Allen sacked by a free rusher. That was kind of on Connor McGovern, if you recall, who basically went away from the spy and left a free runner in against Josh. But the Bills drive down. Cook was already getting started, of course, with his day, and Buffalo goes ahead on the Prater kick 3-0. And then next we have Carolina driving. Groot forces the fumble on a scrambling Andy Dalton, and Benford recovers that down in the Bills' territory. On that drive, I believe we had Poyer with the defensive hold that gave Carolina a first down on its way. Then the Bills had a big 3rd and 10 conversion to Dalton Kincaid, and really that was the only big throw to Dalton Kincaid. And if you listened to some of the pregame stuff that was out on the airwaves, it definitely seemed like it was a game for the Bills' tight ends to do well against this Carolina defense. And in fact, Carolina's best really defensive look and what they've been doing the best has been stopping the run. And then Buffalo goes right after that. So that was definitely interesting. But that was that forced fumble, and then the Bills with that conversion, and then we get to the second quarter, first down, Bills in the red zone. We had Dion with a false start, and then Curtis Samuel with the illegal formation on the 3rd and 6, and then Josh was sacked. A dumb penalties, of course, ruining that effort, and of course sticking with this first half out of the bye sluggishness that the Bills have faced quite a bit. Prater kicks at 6-0. Then Carolina's driving. I'm asking at that point, where's Max Hairston? But he did get in there. Bills got the stop. The field goal was made by Carolina 6-3. And the Bills get the ball at the 23-yard line on the ensuing kick. And this is the drive where James Cook broke a long one, and he was already having a day. I believe he had very close to 100 yards in the first quarter alone. And then Buffalo goes down and scores. Prater misses an extra point. Unusual for sure. And then we're 12-3. Then I've got the note about Max having the great tackle on the next drive by Carolina. Buffalo gets the ball back. Cook looking great, but another punt based on some more offensive foibles. And then next note, Bills D looking good. That was the Epinesa interception to the 1-yard line. And no cute play. Allen with the, not really the tush push, because it was sort of a stand-up deal, but Reggie Gilliam got in behind him, and the Bills go ahead 19-3. And then another injury, and I haven't heard anything, I haven't watched anything post-game at all, to Ed Oliver with a bicep injury. Don't know how serious, and certainly you wonder if it was a different game situation, would he have come back in? We haven't heard anything about that yet. But certainly the defensive line, Larry Ogunjobi looks great. Michael Hoyt is a beast. Deion Walker continues. He gets his first fumble recovery of the season later in the game. But quite good. And then I've got a note where Bosa got his sack. The expedited review that we saw that was mentioned by the broadcast team, that was good to see. The NFL is getting a little bit better about that rather than making teams throw challenge flags on things that are just utterly obvious. I don't know why it takes the NFL so long to catch up to doing this, but indeed they got it right. Next throw I have is Bosa on the tripping call, and then after that, Groot had the sack on 3rd and goal. Bosa, I can't blame him for that tripping call. I mean, it was right there. It's some reaction you're going to have, but we had to like how Joey Bosa looked today also. Then we get into the third quarter. Bills 10 from 17. Khalil Shakir. That was the long score to Khalil. We're out to 26-3. Then the Panthers were stopped. And on the play where Big Phil, Jordan Phillips, got his sack, the interesting thing you saw on that was the fact that Deion Walker was doubled. And this is the effect of a game wrecker. When you've got a guy that's good that requires being double-teamed, it opens things for other players. Then let's see, that was the sack, and then the Bills from the 12-yard line. Cook was close to 200 rushing, and then over 200 after the fumble recovery. We're 33-3, and then Hoyt forces the fumble. That was the one forced by Hoyt and recovered by Deion. Then the Bills were deep in their territory. Haas got the catch down to the 2-yard line. Josh in for the touchdown. Hoyt is a beast, and that's what I'm calling the Hoyt effect. We'll get to your comments in a minute here, but definitely you saw a formula today that if you can repeat this will be great. And I can only hearken back to the Dolphins' perfect season in 1972, and they went on to win the Super Bowl, of course, winning each and every one of their games during the regular season, throughout the playoffs. In that Super Bowl, you saw Bob Greasy only attempt maybe a dozen, not more than a dozen and a half passes, with a great running game and good defense. That, guys, is definitely the formula. It's definitely a formula. And the more that we can see this team succeed like this today, without Josh Allen having to play any sort of hero ball, which I have to see what's going on with Josh. He didn't look good on a few throws today. Threw a couple of wild balls, didn't get any good scrambles out of the pocket. They had the one design run for him that only went for 5 when they had long yardage after a penalty. But a great win overall for the Bills. The first time they've really boat raced a team since the Jets, but at least this was a team that had 4 wins coming in, as opposed to the teams that they had beat thus far were like 3-24 or some stat that I heard. And certainly when Buffalo faced the 4 teams that they beat, not a single one of them had a win at that point, I believe. Certainly not with the Ravens to start the season, and then certainly the Jets, then, of course, the Dolphins, and then the Saints were also winless. And the fact, and I haven't watched the other games and caught some of the other scores, but one of the things that interested me today was to see that Atlanta got beaten up, I believe, pretty good again. And the fact that Atlanta's lost 2 straight games, I believe, I have to check that score, since playing the Bills, tells me how much of a funk that the Bills were in. Who knows why? Who knows how? I mean, we all complained a lot. It's great for the podcast business when you are seeing the Bills do poorly. A lot of people want to get some answers. But I think the Bills provided them today, and a good win. And now it's Kansas City at the Ralph, 4:25 p.m. next Sunday. And for all the world of people talking about the Bills wanting to go out and once again avenge the loss to the Chiefs, I wonder what would happen if the Bills, if they end up losing that game, does that give them a better chance in the playoffs? Because it's been the other way around. and I would have taken any one of those regular season wins and traded it for a playoff win with the same score situation. But let's get into some of the comments here. Going to start out, but before I do so, I want to let you know, if you're on YouTube watching the show, you're new to the channel, we are getting close to 1,000 subs. This has been a great season for that. Got a bunch of new subscribers over the last 3 videos. And if you are new, please go ahead and take that nanosecond to hit that subscribe button and check out the videos. Leave your comments, definitely. The likes help, but the comments are huge. The comments actually inspire a lot of the shows that I do, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. But we'll get in here, and I've got to bring up Vito. Vito B, definitely a common and regular visitor to the show. The start of the Bears 85D. Well, frankly, it kind of looked like that today. And I did predict that by game 11 of the season, those comparisons would be made. And if it continues like this, they might almost be warranted. I just can't get over what Michael Hoyt does for this team. There is an anger and a hostility to that man that is going to drink to it again. Got to have some Cabernet today. By the way, it's a celebration here. Just saw my daughter perform last night at Wayne State University in a production there. She's a terrific actress. She had a leading role in that show called Little Murders, and Little Murders is kind of what the Bills did to the Panthers all day. And the wife is down making her famous meatballs right now. Life is good. I'll drink to that again. But the start of the 85 Bears D, perhaps. And I'm going to go through every one of them as I always do. Hoyt and Max a real plus. Now, sit White and Poyer. Well, you know, I think definitely White. And Poyer, you know, he did have the defensive holding call. He's obviously not the liability that we had with Taylor Rapp. And I made a big point in one of my past videos about this noise that Taylor Rapp was regressing. Well, he's been injured all season. So injury is not regression. The problem was that he was kept on the field that long. And I still think it harkens to a thing with the Bills coaching staff where there is a fear to play the youngsters. And I'm like, get them on the field. These NFL seasons are long. They are a marathon. You can actually absorb some losses. The Bills have lost 2 in a row last year and perhaps even the season before. And they were even 6-6, of course, that one point of that season 2 years ago, I believe, where they ended up winning out, and maybe there needs to be pressure felt by the team. I don't know quite what the dynamic is, but it certainly looked better today, and definitely Max Hairston, you've got to be pleased at that. And the Bills had to get him on the field today because Max Hairston's job, the reason he was drafted at that spot by the Buffalo Bills, was to contend against one player, and it's a player the Bills have had a problem with for several years, and they could have avoided it had they drafted him, but that's Xavier Worthy. And Max Hairston's job is to make Xavier Worthy unworthy. And we have to look forward to seeing what's going on with that next week. Certainly, Hairston will probably get schooled in a couple of cases, but that's all right. He's got to learn that you got to get them the minutes. In terms of linebacking, of course, I don't think we saw Bernard out there today. Milano, certainly not. Shaq Thompson, Dorian Williams looked decent. Shaq Thompson and Dorian Williams actually are giving us sort of this downhill thumping linebacker look that we've kind of been missing, that has kind of exposed the third level of the defense quite a bit in the run game. And that was somewhat better today. I think Rico Dowdell only got free on one longer run today. And frankly, as much as you want to say about Taylor Rapp or other aspects of the Bills' defense or the poor second level. In their two losses, they only gave up 23 and 24 points, respectively. And Buffalo has to be able to score 30 points with what they've got going on at quarterback, with their offensive line, with James Cook. And again, we saw James Cook out in the field today. I don't know if Sean McDermott took Brady in the back room and bitch slapped him and told him, do not pull this guy off the field when we're losing. And you had to get him into a rhythm. Excuse me. And that actually happened today, so that was good to see. That interception was a holy shit moment. Fume drummer in the house, and certainly was. A.J. Epinesa catching the ball, it goes kind of through his hands, hits him in the face mask, goes down. He boinks it up with his knee. That was a term my wife used during the game. He boinked it off of his knee, gets the ball, and almost gets in for the score. So that was awesome. Dalton was being a stationary quarterback, made it easier for the D-line. That's for sure fine, but at least you got the pump primed on the Bills getting some quarterback pressure. And I think you're going to see that improve because I think you're seeing more pressure and pursuit from different parts of the defensive line, and that's going to be important. Not a common type quarterback anymore, certainly. Panthers just missed the extra point at the end. Okay, the whole fourth quarter was garbage time from the Bills' perspective. Right. I think I had missed that. I thought they might have gone for two. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm getting to your comments from a few minutes ago when I was talking. Cook is determined, fast, flashy, runs with power. And for his size, and he's actually doing well, but his yards before contact were amazing today. Now, certainly the one long run where he was untouched contributed to that, but definitely the case. Still not stretching the field. That's for sure. And I would have to see the film and see what there was available to Josh Allen down the field. We know that the Panthers secondary really wasn't anything particularly special. And frankly, that's going to be one of the Chiefs' weaknesses next week. So we'll have to see what happens. But of course, there's been no trade yet. Charles Stone in the house. Let James cook. Indeed. It's Sunday, and it's a great day to cook. How do you get Hoyt to sound like Hoyt? Well, you go H-O-Y-T. That's phonetically. It is pronounced Hoyt, and that is, and you have it right so phonetically, but I don't care how he wants to pronounce it. That guy's a beast. He's the hostility. And he's got hostility like Alien in the movie, and that's what we want. We need hostility on the defense, and he was still trying to just mess people up. Even at the end of the game, we saw where he took the 15 yards for getting in the face, and I don't think he actually threw a punch, but I think he gave the guy in Elaine, Elaine from Seinfeld, boom. So 7 sacks total for the Bills. I had not had that in my notes. I knew it was a bunch. And listen, you could talk about the stationary quarterback. You could talk about Andy Dalton not being able to move around much and so forth. These are still NFL teams. And when you get 7 sacks on an NFL team, that is good. Bills back on the plus side when it comes to turnovers. This is awesome. Yes, Hoyt is definitely from Canada, and boy, what a prick. I mean, I like this guy. I've been excited to see this guy return. You guys heard it from me even in the off season when this was coming up, and we know that, of course, perhaps with them, maybe we don't have losses to the Patriots and the Falcons, but what we do have, though, is fresh legs. Definitely the fresh legs from Hoyt and Ogunjobi, and that's good that it's coming in. To be able to maybe have this defensive line go out and perform well without relying on Ed Oliver having to be there, which might be the case now. Who knows what's going on with the biceps injury? But certainly, you don't want to have just one guy you're relying on all the time. And Big Phil looks great. I would have, he's got some magic going to him because he's wearing Arthur Mote's old number now. I'd have him out on the field. If Ed's down for any amount of time, if you're going to add a guy, that would be the one, unless the Bills somehow find a way to trade for Quinnen Williams, and then they will be the Bears' defense. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Jets are going to trade him in the division. But Big Phil is definitely a plus. He brings a lot of juice. And at times when you had him and Deion Walker in the middle, that's tough. You did not see the Carolina Panthers getting the run production that they had gotten previous in the season. National Tight End Day, absolutely, and at least we got tight ends a couple of balls to them. I think Josh missed. He missed Kincaid early, I remember. Then he hit Kincaid for really his only throw down the field. See, the dogs are even excited now about it. They might be watching the game, actually. And so we'll have to get to those when we get done with this. But then we've got Jackson Haas catching another ball there. And then we have to talk also about, there's a party down there. We have to talk also about the block that Reggie Gilliam threw on that long run by James Cook. Seriously, this running game in the offensive line looks great, and if you're talking about winning ball games, that's a formula. Even if you have Josh Allen, and quite frankly, Mitch Trubisky comes out and throws a couple of nice balls late, and certainly it maybe considered to be garbage time or something like that. But the issue is that of course, Carolina Panthers were very interested in doing this. Hang on just 1 second. We've got to mute out for a minute, and there we go. Sorry, I had to let somebody know that the dogs were being too loud. We've got Paul Chandler in the house. Good win for the team. Let's try and build off this win. I loved how the defense stepped up and shut down their run. Good, needed win. Let's build Cook. It was fun to watch. Let's build on. Cook was fun to watch. So let's go Buffalo. Absolutely. And this will be a test next week. And certainly the Bills got themselves their warm-up game, their usual win coming out of the bye. Certainly very important. But you've got to understand that I think this can be built upon, even though it was the Carolina Panthers. And we still have this thought in mind of the Carolina Panthers being pushovers. No, they came in with a winning record. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. It's a good ball club. They were good at stopping the run. In fact, Buffalo actually attacked their defensive strength as opposed to their weakness, which was really seams down the middle, which is why tight ends should have done well. I'm glad the Bills didn't F around at the end of the first half. They just punched it in from the 1 yard line instead of trying to burn off time. Exactly. At that point, just get the points. Don't screw around, and no more cute plays. I don't think you will see that from Joe Brady again this season. That loss to the Patriots is going to haunt Buffalo. I'm not so sure about that. I think it might inspire the Bills. I still think that we have to look at those losses and say they had a lot more to say about the Bills than they did their two opponents to which they lost. Hope Ed's good to go for next week. We need him out there. That would be great. Hopefully we'll see that. He did not look like he was in a great deal of pain. I didn't see an arm dangling. In fact, that arm, he had it cocked at a right angle when we saw him on the sideline. So we're going to hope about that. Wish the D-line played like this all the time. Well, hey, Paul, I mean, they had Ogunjobi and Hoyt out there today. That is going to make a huge difference. It definitely make a huge difference. And I think especially with Michael Hoyt, because where he can be used, and this guy has got, I'm not going to use the term a screw loose, but he displays a hostility that I really have not seen from other players on the Buffalo Bills defensive line. Of course, Ed, is tough, and he's been great in the middle. Deion Walker is obviously getting better every week and learning. And, I don't think we saw TJ Sanders out there today. I didn't even get a chance to look at the inactives. I know we didn't see Landon Jackson out there today. Even at the end where we had Solomon out there on the defensive line. But I think with a middle consisting of either Daquan, if we get him back at some point, or Daquan and Deion Walker, and Big Phil, Jordan Phillips. And then our edges, Groot, pursuing on that one play where he gets the fumble, the fumble caused on Dalton, where that got picked up by Benford. I think we'll see the defensive line improving a lot. The tush push is called you're calling it the snowplow, Charles. Actually, if we're going with Deion Dawkins' description of it, it is the snowplow. The snowplow, SCHNOW. Larry Zonka and Jim Kick for the Dolphins back then. Great running backs, yeah, and they were a pair. And yes, you got that right. Kick with two eyes. You remember. Little fam, 2011 in the house. Great win, go Bills. Indeed. Glad you're in here. And, if you're watching on X today, I know we've got some on YouTube, some on X. Go ahead and follow me on X. I do not have a bunch of followers there. I created that particular X account really when we got this channel started. And, of course, if you do get over to YouTube, go ahead and subscribe there. Like I said, again, we're getting close to 1,000. And 1,000 is great because in YouTube land, on your podcast, when you've got 1,000 subs, it's like having a restaurant where the parking lot is full. It just is going to attract more in, and we'll keep this going. The Jets beat the Bengals. Interesting. Very interesting. And that had to be, of course, Flacco was playing quarterback, and they were starting Tyrod, obviously, I believe, today. And, and there's a couple of wide open eyes to that last comment. Where's the smile, Ralph? Okay, I'm going to smile. I guess it's been a scowl because I have bitched so hard over the last two postgame shows and then the last three. Oh, it's Taylor Salty. I didn't know she was in the house. I should have even looked. That would be my beautiful daughter, Taylor Salter, who is a fabulous actress, and just watched her probably play better than the Bills' defensive line played these last two evenings, Friday and Saturday. She is a actress at Wayne State University. Keep your tabs on her. You will see her on Broadway one day in the very near future. Thank you, sweetheart. And catch it up in the comments here. Alan, still concerning inaccurate throws. Looks slow. Yeah. And listen, I think there's something in his mind that got to him over those two games. And you have to consider, what the losses did to him. You have to consider where his brain even was with that ESPN interview that he gave between the two losses that aired just before the Monday night contest against the Falcons. And the other thing you have to consider is that today actually marked 4 weeks since the Bills had a win. And I made a big point of stating in a couple of videos ago that, and some people came back and said, well, the Bills have lost 2 in a row at times. They had not lost 2 in a row going into a bye. That was a first in the McDermott era. Even in his first year, when he had Tyrod playing quarterback and perhaps tried Nate Peterman for a while, it's before Josh even arrived. He had not lost 2 straight going into the bye. And you know the effect it had on us with the 2 straight losses going into the bye, because then you've got the entire week to think about it, even before the week off, the Sunday off, the bye week itself, the bye game day, essentially, and then another week prior to actually getting on the field again. And I imagine this had some kind of effect on Josh Allen. And, hopefully he gets his mind right. I think this may have helped today, because what we saw today, and maybe he needed to even see that to help his state of mind, we had to see the rest of the team actually win this game. I mean, Josh Allen, he had the touchdown throw to Shakir. That wasn't a downfield throw. That was all really Shakir. And, of course, Josh in for a couple of touchdowns on the ground, I believe, or maybe it was the 1 or the 2, but certainly those were short. And this really wasn't a game where, Josh Allen, there were no turnovers, of course, and the Bills did great on getting turnovers, but maybe his seeing the rest of the team do what they did was a big help. That's because they talked a lot of shit after they beat us, demanding all this respect. They thought they would have won the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's probably true if you're talking about, which I believe you're talking about the Falcons. And but certainly the Bills, while they weren't the world champions, they're going to be a target for teams, definitely. Teams are going to want to measure themselves on how they do against the Buffalo Bills. But hopefully it was just their early season swoon that we've seen before. I think we just identified a couple of things that maybe made it different, and we identified the fact that, of course, that it was not just the 2 losses and then going to a next week where you could get back on the horse, get back on the bicycle, whatever the case may be, but instead having to wait 2 weeks, almost 2, was the Monday night game a week ago Monday until today to get back on the field and a chance for redemption. Fume Drummer, congrats to the daughter actress. Absolutely, thanks so much. And you and I have to talk. You got any drum tracks? I'm still a guitarist and composer. I'd love to get together and collaborate on some music. We'll have to talk about that on another point. I talked a lot of trash about the Bills, but it's a lot to look up after that defensive performance, and it's definitely true. And again, we have to remember that the Bills' defense, yes, there were some third down conversions against the Dolphins, and certainly the first part of the game, even against the Ravens, and then, of course, the 335 yards given up to the Falcons in the first half a week ago Monday night. But quite frankly, if we're looking at the point totals, they gave up 40, but then I believe they gave up 21, and then they gave up, 40, and then to the Jets it was 10, 7 of those being in garbage time, and then they gave up 21 to the Dolphins, and I think a similar number, maybe 19, to the Saints, and then 23 to the Patriots, of course, and then 24 to the Falcons. And if you're in the low 20s and you're not getting a 30 burger dropped on you, that's got to be, in the NFL, that's great. And if you've got Josh Allen and James Cook and some of the weapons like we saw today, we'll actually see. It'll be a great measuring stick because the Chiefs, again, are trying to look like the Chiefs. And the Bills will have a homecoming, their first home game, really, since they hosted the Saints. And that'll be, it should be quite a contest. It's a 4:25 game, so next week that'll be more or less prime time. So very interesting. All right, Taylor Salty, life is good. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. If the Bills can pull off the rest of their season like you pulled off this weekend, we're going to be in great, great shape in Bills country. I like how Max wasn't ducking, no contact. He looked good. We know about the speed, but I like the pick. Hey, it was a known quantity that he's a stud. He likes to hit. Now, he injured the shoulder at Kentucky last season, played through a lot of it, and you didn't see that quite as much. Hopefully he stays healthy this season. And again, with the injury, which wasn't as severe as it could have been, and it seems like he is in good shape now. They wouldn't have him out in the field if he wasn't. This is Buffalo, of course. That we have to consider the fact that we put basically on the field today 3 defensive starters that have absolutely fresh legs. And that was game 7 of the season. And I believe that's going to make a difference. Paul Chandler, why was the front not playing that like that earlier on? Well, I think we got kind of the answer there. And I mean, you saw some of it. When you had Deion Walker getting doubled, but then Big Phil comes in and can get a sack. When you had Michael Hoyt being in different spots and having to be accounted for, it's not just a tangible, empirical type of measurement that, okay, we've got one better guy in there. There's an energy that occurs. And one guy coming in like that with like the attitude of Hoyt can change the entire thing. It really, really can. And I think we're going to see more and more of that from the Bills. And I've kind of anticipated that. Like I said, Hoyt is the alien. His intelligence is only surpassed by his hostility. It's good stuff. What's up with that rainbow sparkle hat McD was wearing? Where's the glasses? Well, he had the glasses on, except this time they were frames. And who knows? Maybe he wears contacts and something's up with the eyes, and that's why he went to the frames. Podcasters like me obviously took advantage of it and put those out on a thumbnail recently. Now, if Pats are going to be a problem, well, perhaps the Bills have to be able to deal with a little bit of a problem. Secretariat, the horse, was the best, probably pure athlete in terms of human or animal ever on the planet. And you know, Secretariat liked to start off at the back of the pack. He did not want to lead the whole way. There was something about needing to put in the effort to defeat an opponent rather than defeating them right from the start. And I have a feeling by the time that game comes around where the Bills go visit the Patriots at Gillette in Foxborough, there's going to be some Buffalo Bills. They're going to be saying, we got a motherfucking score to settle, pal. We got a score to settle. Pardon my French. I agree. Need some hostility on both defense and offense. Attack, attack, attack. We need more assholes on the team. Yeah, I think we got a couple today. Yeah, Michael Hoyt. I mean, seeing Hoyt getting into it at the end of that game, this is a guy that has been held back from playing because of this suspension, the same length of which that Rashee Rice got, the felon, I call him, for driving his Porsche or whatever the hell it was, 124 miles an hour and injuring people in an accident, and yet he gets 6 games, just like Hoyt did for taking a wrong supplement. I don't know, maybe the NFL will get their shit together on that. They seem to have gotten their shit together on the business of quick reviews, expedited reviews as they're calling it. But I think we got one. I think we got one. And, other than that, the offensive line, Spencer Brown's a psycho, dudes. I mean, he is. And the rest of them are good. And that was going to be good for them today and good for Hoyt. Good for Cook and the performance he had. And I think we saw a lot of things form up today that sit in the Bills' stead very well for hosting the Chiefs next week. And I'm going to ask you guys, would you have rather seen a Superman Josh Allen come out and do that 40-burger that they dropped on the Panthers, or would you have rather seen it like it was? Because this game seemed to be, number one, the Bills' best game of the season. It wasn't Josh Allen's best game of the season, but for that very reason, it makes it the Bills' best game of the season because it was a team effort as opposed to Josh Allen putting on the cape. Yeah, great attitude on both sides of the ball. Knox was MIA. Well, certainly. I mean, he's been stone hands a little bit, and Jackson Haas. I keep on telling you, this guy is going to be Travis Kelce Swift 2.0 because he is the best blocking tight end we have. And when he can go out and chip on somebody and show the threat of a run, especially when he's motioning over to one side, and the Bills have been pitching the ball to James Cook all game, and then Josh fakes the pick and flips it over to him in the flat. It could be dangerous. What other games should I look out for tonight? That's a great question, Tay, and I've got to figure it out. I haven't even looked that hard at the schedule. Of course, I was attending Broadway-like shows all weekend and digging into this business of the NFL. But there's going to be some good ones. We do know that I believe the Patriots beat the Browns. I believe the Eagles beat the Giants 31-13. The demise of the Eagles is a little bit premature. And then Trey White didn't cause a problem today. Boo. Yes, he didn't cause a problem for the Bills. He didn't cause too many problems for the Carolina Panthers either, but I think certainly they had Max Hairston on a pitch count and definitely wanted to have him ready just the way they wanted because, again, Max Hairston's job for the entire season, which would be playing the Chiefs hopefully twice, is to make Xavier Worthy unworthy. And I believe he's just the guy to do it. Oh, yeah, cool hood. I haven't worn this one. In fact, I got to tell you, I went through a bunch of stuff and collected all my Bills items and now have them in upstairs here in the closet adjacent to the studio. And, of course, I have to thank my daughter. This is her old bedroom before she left home and went off to be a Broadway star, learning that craft at Wayne State University. So that's where the studio is now, and got everything in the closet over here. Been wearing the jerseys a lot. I got to tell you, quite frankly, now that it's getting cooler, it's much more comfortable to do the podcast upstairs here, especially with this 20-year-old plasma screen behind me that is something of a furnace. We've got him still going here. His wife's lies told him winning is not everything in the NFL. Winning is the only thing that matters. Sounds like the wife, and I think there's more to that one maybe. Now, I was not just told, but threatened not to mention anything concerning Josh Allen's wife, Haley Steinfeld, of course, the movie star. And there are a lot of you out there that are thinking that this has been an effect on him from being married. And how could you not when the first thing he says in the interview is, my wife taught me that I'm more than just a football player. Josh, right now, you are a football player. Be like the other things later. His grandmother even told him, Josh, you can't call me right now. I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry. But he definitely has to get his head on. And I think it helped today. I think maybe it helped him that this was very much a team win, but we've got to see him excel. And if they hit on all cylinders, including him, then I think we could have a situation where, we could start really clowning some teams, and maybe starting with the Chiefs next week. But it's definitely a different season. It's a different mindset. And, we again, and I made this point a couple of videos ago, we just don't see the Josh Allen we saw at Wyoming pumping his fist and cheering on his teammates and being really excited on the sideline. Excuse me. I actually think that deep down, Josh might be a little bit maybe worried. Did I, am I living with kryptonite now? Is the fact that he's in a household now where he's not the biggest star in the house? I don't know. I don't want to speculate on it, nor do I want to insinuate anything. But there's definitely something different with the mindset. But quite frankly, if the Bills can run the ball like they did today and play defense like they did today, especially with 3 new starters on the field, Ogunjobi, Hoyt, and Max Hairston on the defensive side, ought to be interesting. Buffalo didn't get a 4 p.m. game. The next week, 4:25 p.m., hosting the Chiefs. And they also have a 4:25 p.m. hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. And they also have another 4:25 p.m. on December 7th hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. I will be at that game. We will be broadcasting ahead of time. It will be hopefully the first of 2 visits to the Ralph this season. Definitely, I somehow would like to get to, and it might be a meaningless game. It might not at that point. But the last game of the season versus the Jets, that matches up with the very first regular season game, September 30th, 1973, I believe it was, where the Bills in the very first regular season game at then Rich Stadium was also versus the Jets. And the Bills won that contest 9-7. It was a garbage time touchdown by the Jets at the end that made it seem kind of close. His intelligence is only surpassed by his hostility. That's a quote the Bills should print and post in their locker room. Talk that up, brother. Talk that up. I think the rest did a fair game. Yeah, I think so. In fact, truthfully, I think the Bills got a break. I think the holding call on Carolina for the hold on Trey White was a little bit weak. I actually didn't see that. Not a lot of penalties today, that's for sure. We just had a couple of dumb ones on that early drive with I think Dion was he had a false start, and then what else? So we had Curtis Samuel on the other play, not lined up in the line of scrimmage, and we had an illegal procedure. Steelers at Packers is this afternoon. Thank you, Charles Stone, for that answer. That's a good one to be watching. I think we got Steelers. Steelers, Packers, and there's another couple good ones today. Oh, you meant the Buffalo TV market. didn't get a 4 p.m. game. I am not in the Buffalo market. I'm in Southeast Michigan, and it's surprising how many content creators are in the town that they are. And I lived in actually South Florida for 17 years, from around the time we got married, and basically went to the stadium formerly known as Joe Robbie down in South Florida year after year. In fact, we had a bunch of friends that would come and stay with us, and we'd go to all the games during those Super Bowl years. And but ever since 1998 or 7, I have been an NFL Sunday ticket holder, longer than perhaps anybody in their annals. And one of the best things they did was switch it over to YouTube TV. And if you have YouTube TV for a subscription for your regular television, plus the Sunday ticket, one button pressed, every single game is recorded for the entire season, not only the Bills, but every single NFL contest. And no more of the business like it used to be with DirecTV, that if it was a local, the game was locally available, it would be blacked out on the Sunday ticket. That's different now on it. So definitely all over that, and would recommend it. And plus, you can watch a bunch of games that way. On a normal Sunday, when the Bills are playing perhaps later or in prime time, whatever it may be, I will, and my daughter and I would do this a lot. We'd set up with several games, watch part of the first quarter of the first one till we caught up, move to the next game, and then we're just advancing through play to play, just like the NFL's condensed replays that you see. And we consume at least 4, sometimes 5 football games before we moved to the 4 o'clock slot and started watching that about 4:30. I don't think it's time to let up off McDermott yet either. We need to apply more pressure, and I agree. And again, as I've stated in the last couple of videos I've done, we just don't see any coach sort of spirit, hostility, whatever it may be, on the sidelines. And of course, we saw the shot of both Brady and then Babbage down the way in the booth today. So neither of them are on the sideline. And I think one of the things that could help the most with is Josh Allen. We don't have a coordinator talking to him and getting in his face. Anybody that is talking with him is something of an underling coach who really, can't walk up into Josh's face and tell him where the bear's shit and the buckwheat. And that kind of needs to happen at times. I think Josh Allen needs a kick in the ass at times on the sideline, and there's nobody there to do it. McDermott certainly isn't. And somebody jumped me for saying, well, McDermott, he's the head coach. Well, if nobody else is going to do it, somebody needs to. I mean, and you just don't see these anybody on the Bills sideline doing this. Yeah, Rob Boris, the tight ends coach, he's a tough, loud guy, but he's coaching his tight ends. There's Cromer, I'm sure, is tough also, who, offensive line coach and the running game coordinator, maybe him also. But I just don't see that on the field. And again, I couldn't get over last Monday night watching Kelvin Shepard, former Bills linebacker, now defensive coordinator for the Lions, running up and down the sideline, pumping his fist. I mean, I don't know. If you're looking for team leadership to inspire themselves, maybe that's what the Bills are after. But anyway, yes, I moved from Florida to Michigan. Absolutely. Florida was fine. It's like we did our retirement years down there and then came back to the north. I grew up in western New York. I grew up about 30 miles north of Buffalo, very near Lake Ontario. And I like the seasons. I like when it gets cold. I'm liking that it's cooler now, and I can sit in the studio without sweating under the lights and in front of this monitor doing shows. So, and of course, not having to run air and have all that noise going over the microphone and so forth. So anyway, here we go. Bills are now 5-2. 5-2. We've got the Chiefs coming to town next week, and I'm very interested to see how this defense does. I think they discovered some things today. I think when you saw Michael Hoyt get his very first action of the season, Larry Ogunjobi get his very first action of the season, Max Hairston get his very first action of his career, and saw what the Bills actually were able to do and the overall aggressiveness and hostility demonstrated by that defense. I'm really interested to see how that plays. And if that's what it takes for Buffalo to go through the playoffs, get to the dance, and win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen playing the part of Bob Greasy, throwing a few balls every game, and maybe even just pitching out to James Cook for a lot of the game. If that's what it takes, sign me up. Sign me up. But guys, we've been an hour here. I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thanks again so much. If you are not part of the channel, again, go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching this show on X as opposed to YouTube, go ahead and give me a follow there. And if you do jump over to YouTube, subscribe, and we will continue to deliver content here. Be back with the show probably Wednesday. We'll have another show Wednesday and just review some of what we heard from the press conferences and hear what we hear from the team, see what the rest of the league is looking like, and how it looks going forward here, entering into this basically the end of the first half of the season and jumping into the rest of it. So thanks so much for watching. As always, be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills. I am the Ralph, and this, of course, is the Ralph Rant. See ya.